yourself. As you can see in the chat, you can share your pronouns, your location, and a hope that you have for the space tonight. Something that you want to give and receive, and something that you want to share with us this evening. Haven't before, you can go to nativeland.ca and see not only where are you calling in from as it's currently known, but whose land, whose indigenous land are you actually living on, or who were the original stewards of the land that you lived on. So you can, like Raye just mentioned that she's on Tongva land, and us in Oakland are Shin or Ramaytush or various Ohlone lands, Chochenyo speaking Ohlone lands. Welcome, everyone. So, Shireen, what say we get this party started?
Let's do it, Maz.
Let's do it. Well, I'll go ahead and introduce myself, and then I'll pass it to you. My name is Mazen Jamal. So grateful to be with you all. I'm a part of Thrive Choir, just like Shireen, Jesse, Kyle, and some others on the call today. And yeah, just really honored to be with you all. Thrive is such a deep part in my heart. So I'm just grateful to get to be with you tonight.
Yes, also want to extend my welcome. Some new faces and many old beloveds. Again, this is the first Sunday that we're gathering in the new year, and I know many of us have deep hopes for what is to come in this year. We're incredibly blessed by our guests today. Raye and Charles are going to uplift, open our hearts, help us make meaning out of this moment, and look toward what's possible for the future. So let's kick off.
Yeah, let's kick off. We want to begin with a little grounding and land acknowledgement, land honoring moment. So I want to invite everyone to just find a location, a place, a posture for your body where you can be fully relaxed, where you can drop into your body, drop into your presence. So just take a few moments, maybe 30 seconds right now, to find a posture, a position, a place that's comfortable where you might even want to close your eyes and soften your gaze. Let's just drop in together. You know how we can drop in together across thousands and millions of miles. So just starting to close your eyes and find your breath. Just noticing the breath. You don't need to change it quite yet. You don't need to do anything. Just feeling as the air comes across your nostrils and enters into your lungs and gives you a gentle stretch on the inside. And maybe you even choose to take a little deep breath. We can all take a breath together, exhaling empty. And then taking a deep breath in. And letting it out. Letting the breath return to normal. As we arrive together here for this new gathering in a new year, a new cycle, just take a moment right now to acknowledge and welcome your body. Just feeling the weight of your physical body. Feeling the weight of these trillions of cells and organisms and things that make your vessel, your body here. And letting your awareness in your body go from your head to your shoulders, through your torso, to your hips, down your legs and your feet. You're continuing down, letting your awareness travel all the way down into the earth, into the soil, down deep, into the mantle, all the way to the very center of our planet. And just notice that down here in the center of our planet, we are all together. I want to have a moment for us to honor the indigenous people of the land that we live on, that we are on. If you have not studied or learned who those folks are, please do. Take a moment to honor the traditions and the wisdom of the indigenous people of the land that we live on. May we learn from them and have them guide us in how we can be in right relation with our planet. Extending this acknowledgement to all of our ancestors from wherever lineage we come from, to our elders in the space today, and to the children and the future generations yet to be born. Just finding ourselves together here in this ecosystem, in this lineage, in this web. And finally, honoring yourself for being with us tonight, taking this journey with us. We'll take one more deep breath together. Inhale. And let it out. And slowly, when you feel ready, you can give yourself a little stretch. Roll your neck around, maybe wiggle your fingers and toes, and let the wiggle move through your body, and open your eyes and return to our space. Thank you.
Thank you, Maz. So beautiful, such a blessing. So I'd like to continue this opening in song, as is our ritual in these events, and I'm going to invite us all to actually bring our voices together. And I'd like to offer a traditional gospel song that we were taught from Melanie DeMoore, The Lighthouse. We'll put the words in the chat and invite you to mute yourself and sing along with me. We'll sing it 3 times through. I think in this time of rupture, possibility, transition, all of us could use a lighthouse, or could be a lighthouse, or both in these times. So I think in particular, calling forth the deep resilience and beauty and wisdom of Black history, Black struggle, Black music, just offering my gratitude and awe, really, for the legacy of this song and this tradition. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse, let it shine on me. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Please sing with me. Shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Shine on me. Yeah, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. One more time. Shine on me. Oh, shine, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse, let it shine on me. Shine on me. Oh, shine, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. And may that light shine on all of us, my family. We are in for some light tonight, beloveds. I want to share with you a little bit about who we are. Thank you for the love. I feel it. I feel the energy coming through the Zoom. It's so vulnerable to sing, but it's also such a part of the medicine of these times, for me at least. So I come to you all representing this incredible community, Thrive East Bay, and I'm one of the founding members. It actually started in a living room in Oakland 5 years ago. And, you know, I think that one of the things we're finding, especially in these pandemic times, is like community is essential. Weaving together, especially across our respective lines of difference, learning to love each other and together and to deepen our connection with the earth is so essential for bringing forth the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible, which is, of course, the theme of the event. So for folks who are newer to Thrive East Bay, the way that we talk about ourselves in a nugget is essentially a purpose-driven community that intersects through a commitment to social justice, intersections of meaning, belonging, and the arts, and broader social change. We're guided by 4 principles. The first is love in action. What does it look like when we actually embody love as a verb in all of our choices and actions? Shared learning and practice. We recognize we're all works in progress and are committed to our own shared learning and engagement of practice. We're committed to thriving, to supporting each other's thriving, to supporting our own thriving, and finally to systemic change, recognizing deeply that our individual liberation is bound in our collective liberation and we cannot disentangle them from each other. So that's what we're about, and we're really glad you're here and really excited to introduce you all to our program for the night. We have the incredible Raye Zaragoza, who's going to be blessing us with her voice and music and medicine. And we also have our beloved guest speaker, Charles Eisenstein, who is truly a thought leader in these times, pushing folks to think more deeply, ask questions, challenge assumptions, and so forth. And one thing I just want to say as we frame up this event at the dawn of a new year, you know, many people have referred to this moment in time, the smaller moment as well as the bigger moment we're inside of, as a choice point for humanity. We're at a moment of rupture. We're at a moment of real possibility. In Charles' words, he says that COVID-19 is like a rehab intervention that breaks the addictive hold of normality. To interrupt a habit is to make it visible. It's to turn it from a compulsion to a choice. So when a crisis subsides, we might have the occasion to ask, do we want to return to normal? Or is there something else? Something we've seen during this break in the routines that we want to call forth into the future. He also says that because of the 100 paths that radiate in front of us, some lead in the same direction we've already been headed. You always do what you always did. You always get what you always got. And we know we don't want that. So what path do we need to trod to realize the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible? And that is the inquiry we're exploring together today. And with that, I'm going to pass it to my brother Maz to introduce Raye and take us forward.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much, Shireen, for giving us this context. And I'm really, really glad to get to introduce Raye Zaragoza because her music is so beautiful, so moving, and I feel it's just perfect choice. Whoever curated this situation, good job, good choices here. But I want to introduce this award-winning singer and songwriter who's making music to fight for, represent, and celebrate those who have been left too long outside of the spotlight. She's been known for her tenacious feminist anthems and fearless protest folk, and her stage presence teems with determined morale. Her debut album, Fight For You, which she released independently in 2017, displays the compassion and dedication to justice and equality for all that her music is all about. She's been featured on Billboard, Pop Matters, Ear Milk, Democracy Now!, and many other of the best modern day protest song lists. Her second sophomore album, Woman in Color, Raye's written a collection of spirited canticles for herself, for womanhood, and for all those who had to come together in such an event of divine coincidence that led her to her existence. So let's just give all the Thrive love and Thrive magic and just beam it at this wonderful human being who's going to share her soul and her spirit with us right now. Let's hear it for Raye. Silent claps, Zoom claps.
Thank you so much, Maz, for the very generous introduction. Thank you to Thrive and Shireen and everyone for having me today. This is so special to be in community with all of you today. I know I am so hungry for community, and before COVID, I was a full-time touring artist. I was playing like 5 to 6 shows a week for 3 years in different cities, and so it's really wild to not be able to see new people every night. And so being with all of you tonight is really, really filling my heart. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to start with a song called Warrior. That's from my new record called Woman in Color. And this song I wrote about facing fears and really running towards the things that scare you, and instead of shying away, like taking that leap. And I think that 2020, we all face fear like almost every single day. And I think that we all should be celebrating our bravery. And so this is for all of you. And if you want to hold in your heart something that you faced this past year, that you had to look inwards to your bravery, you can hold that in your heart. And this is for you. So this is Warrior. Spent my summer in a van, St. Augustine to Michigan, held my breath, said a prayer, all those people waiting there, I've been searching so long, it lived in me all along. Burn me in the desert and drown me in the rain. Throw me to the thunder, push me out of the plane. I don't feel afraid anymore. I'm a warrior. Bright lights, sharing tears, thanking grace for bringing us all here. It ain't lonely on the road when there's love everywhere you go. I I've been searching so long. It lived in me all along. Burned me in the desert and drowned me in the rain. Throw me to the thunder, push me out of the plane. I don't feel afraid anymore. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. We are warriors. Burn me in the desert and drown me in the rain. Throw me to the thunder, push me out of the plane. I don't feel afraid anymore. I'm a warrior.
I'll have you for just a minute and let Ray feel some of that love.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Wow.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Thank
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Warrior.
So fun. Thank you so much, everyone. That song was Warrior, off my new record, Woman in Color, which you find anywhere you get music on my website, which is rayzaragoza.com, or Spotify, Apple Music, anything like that. And also, that song is featured in a new film, a documentary film called Gather, which is a really amazing film. I highly suggest everyone see it. It's about indigenous sovereignty and indigenous food ways and food knowledge, and it's really incredible. So you can look it up, Gather film, if you want to check out a really awesome documentary about indigenous folks and different food philosophies. Okay, so I'm gonna play another song. This next song I'm gonna play is also from the new record, and this is the only love song on the record. And the song is called He Calls Me River. And I wrote this song because I wanted to write a song about how I had this thought about falling in love with another person is not just between you and the person, it's like between you, the other person, and Mother Earth. And that to love another person is also to love the earth that we walk on. And when we do love each other, the sky is bluer, the grass is greener, the trees are taller, and everything is just in beautiful focus. And so this is a love song, but it's also a love song to Mother Earth. I've been lost in the forest for everyone.
Yes.
Woo!
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. And yes, please find me also. I'm gonna comment, it's just my name, but find me on Instagram and send me a message with purple hearts. This is what I used to always do at live shows. So I tell the audience to send me a message with purple hearts so then I could check my messages later and I would know that I met you through tonight's show. And so find me on Instagram, send me a message with purple hearts, and then I'll know that you are here from Thrive, and then we can all be friends. And this next song is based off of a book maybe some of you have read. It's called Women Who Run with the Wolves. And it's a really beautiful collection of myths and stories about the wild woman archetype. And for me, the past couple years has I've been doing a lot of like undoing of what it means to be a woman and all the expectations, societal expectations of women, and finding my own voice and deciding who I want to be as a woman. And this book just really changed my life, and so I had to write a song about it. And so this song is called Run with the Wolves.
Softly in the breeze, in the clouds, I hear them now. We used to be so free, get back to who we used to be. Leave the ground, look to the mountains, feel the air rush through your skin. It's the way it always should have been. We're running, 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 running with the wolves again. We're running, 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 running with the wolves again. There was a time when we were wild, moving fast. You couldn't hold us back. Then they came and stole our fire, put us in a cage we could never change. We used to be so free, get back to who we used to be. Leave the ground, look to the mountains, feel the air rush through your skin. It's the way it always should have been. Run, 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 running with the wolves again. Run, 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 running with the wolves again. Ooh, ooh, leave the ground, look to the mountains, feel the air rush through your skin. It's the way it always should have been. We're running, 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 running with the wolves again. We're running, 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 running with the wolves again. We're running, 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 running with the wolves again.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, y'all feel free to let Ray know what you're feeling.
Woo!
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the kind words in the chat. I love it. The one thing I do love about playing virtual shows that we could not have live is getting to read all your thoughts during the show. We could not do that on a live stage. That would be like, yeah, kind of difficult. But I'm just gonna play one more song. It's been such an amazing, amazing time with all of you tonight. This has been so lovely, and I hope you all keep in touch with me. I'm gonna comment some of my links. You can find my website. I think my website was already commented, but you also can find me on Patreon, which is a way to connect with me and also support. So it's patreon.com/Raye Zaragoza. Oh wait, that's not linking. And I'm just gonna play one more song. Almost. This last song is called American Dream. It's from my last record that came out in 2017. And I really appreciate, Shireen, all the words that you said about, we really can't come together and have peace until we acknowledge, the dark things that are around us, and acknowledging racism and acknowledging inequality and acknowledging that it's time to lift up voices that haven't historically been lifted up. And so this song is called American Dream. It's very much inspired by my parents. My dad is he's both Indigenous and Native American and Mexican. Sorry, that was like very redundant. He is from California, but he's of Akime Otham descent and also Mexican. My mom is an immigrant from Japan, and both of them and their journeys to find the American dream, and their triumphs, and also their discouraging experiences, and all of that kind of turned into this song. And so this is American Dream. So thank you everyone so much. I'm Raye Zaragoza, and I hope to see you again next time.
I've been thinking about the news. Daddy leaves it on all day through. I've been thinking about the wars. To be honest, I can't take it anymore. I hear you every day. The awful words you say. And hate can't be the face of the American dream. I've been thinking about my life, and how one day I want to be a mother and a wife. I've been scared of that thought too. In a world of struggle, what are we gonna do? I hear you every day saying it's gonna be okay, but hate can't be the face of the American dream. And I know we've got a long way to go, but I've got to believe that change is a choice, and it can start with me. 'Cause I've been thinking about our mother, and how they took her away from her people, put her in a boarding school, away from her brother, sister, and culture. I can hear her every night saying we've gotta make this right, and hate can't be the face of the American dream. And I know we've got a long way to go, but I've got to believe that change is a choice, and it can start with me. And change is a choice, and it can start with me. And change is a choice, and it can start with you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Raye, deep gratitude.
Woo-hoo.
Yay!
Yes.
Everyone. Thank you so much.
Wow, it's such deep medicine and
So
to touch the
beautiful.
heart and speak such wisdom to every dimension of us. Thank you so much. Yeah. Music as Medicine Embodied by Raye Zaragoza. And y'all can find out so much more about her, multiple albums, incredible work, leadership in the movement for Indigenous rights, among others, through her songs. So please stay connected and allow that medicine to just fill your cells with nourishment as we embark on the journey of this new year. And I also appreciate just the closing sentiment of that song, Raye. You know, we have choice, and it can start with all of us. And I think it's a really elegant transition toward our next amazing guest, who needs not much of an introduction. So yeah, make sure Raye feels some love and purple hearts in the chat, y'all. And she's going to be with us. We'll have a chance to potentially weave her back into the conversation after Charles's talk. So I have the privilege to introduce Charles Eisenstein. I've been following his thinking, his writing, his work for many, many years now. And I think what I most appreciate about Charles is his willingness to challenge the status quo of multiple points of view and really urge us to think deeper, challenge our own assumptions, challenge our own lenses, put ourselves in other people's perspectives. And I'm very, very grateful, I think, especially in these times of deep polarization, binary thinking, to have your lens on what's happening in our world and your challenging perspective that I know for some of us is very resonant and for others might be harder to integrate. So I'm going to give a more traditional bio and then invite Charles to riff his magic however he feels called. Charles Eisenstein is a writer, teacher, speaker on multiple themes. He talks about money, community, education, gift culture, transition, cultural evolution. He had a profound piece at the beginning of the pandemic called The Coronation that I imagine many people read, and if you didn't, I would encourage you to. He wrote many books, and among which The Ascent of Humanity, Sacred Economics. He graduated from Yale in mathematics and philosophy back in the day, and has also spent time in Taiwan as a Chinese English translator before returning to the US, where he lives today. Although today I believe he's gracing us from another place, so let him speak to that if he wants. His work in economics and social change is featured in many films, and he really is a thought leader of our times in helping us deeply understand and reimagine what is possible. So today, Charles is going to grace us with his thoughts on this more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. And Charles, the mic is yours. Thank you so much for being here. But you're muted, or we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're with us.
Okay, I wasn't muted, but anyway, I was saying thank you for such a kind introduction and for welcoming me to your community. And already you've touched on so many themes that are dear to my heart, especially Ray's work with the Indigenous. Maybe I'll start with that as an entree into what I call the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. From the angle that you know, that title, that's a book title that I chose very carefully, because while our hearts know that the world that has been presented to us as normal doesn't have to be that way and could be better, and that this possibility is something that is within our power to create, our conditioned minds, to the extent that they're conditioned by the old normal, conditioned by patriarchy, by white supremacy, by market economics, but even on a deeper level than all of those, by the mythology of modernity, which I call the story of separation. to the extent that we're conditioned by those, the mind says that it is not possible. And that feeling of impossibility or futility hits a lot of people, me included, as despair or despondency, when it looks outwardly that everything is going in the wrong direction. And that can get us to question the authentic recognition of our hearts that a more beautiful world is possible. So this this feeling of this impasse, I would say, that we're at, comes because the mind's understanding of what is possible is a little bit too narrow. And to generalize that, our cultural, or I would say civilizational, theory of change and program for how to create a better world, how to solve problems, it has led civilization, if I may call it that, to a dead end, where our modes and means and methods of problem solving only create different versions of the same problem. So an example would be what is called the technical fix, solving problems caused by technology with an application of even more technology, or violence, solving, say, terrorism or crime by finding someone to kill or someone to imprison, and then thereby generating conditions for even more of it, where it then leads to the security state. So anyway, this stuck pattern, how do we get out of it, and how do we actually move forward? Well, I personally, what I have come to after asking this question for so many years is that it necessitates bringing in all that the modern worldview and the systems built on that worldview have excluded. Primary among this exiled knowledge is the knowledge held by indigenous people that is still here on Earth. We have to recognize that as a precious treasure. So when it comes to, now, and I think that especially in the social justice movement, there's a growing conscious recognition of the necessity to bring this back in. However, one way that the status quo maintains itself is that it turns that authentic recognition into the servant of the status quo, and kind of suggests that what equity and inclusion means is that we, if I can put it in a somewhat exaggerated way, is that we give Black and brown and indigenous people an equal position in the world-destroying machine. Basically, yeah, inclusion, but inclusion in what the dominant culture has created and normalized. And this is not actually whether it's feminism or Black liberation or indigenous rights, this is not what it aspires to. Oh, please, please, you've done it so much better than we have, so can we please join in the bounty of the technological domination of the world? Like maybe 50 years ago, that seemed, when the story of separation and domination and control seemed so robust and seemed to be bringing such benefits, and it looked, at least from the inside, that civilization was on the right track. Maybe back then it would have been an understandable position to take. But now, given that civilization, modernity, technology, markets are in the process of destroying the ecological basis of life on Earth, given the fact that despite decades and decades of poverty programs and development programs, that wealth inequality and the situation of people across much of the planet is just as bad as it has ever been, given the persistence of structural racism in the United States. I mean, it's not working, is it? And then COVID-19 comes along, and our high-tech medicine and technologies of control are again insufficient to the task, compared with some of the excluded technologies. Just to give an example, I have a friend who's in the Ivory Coast right now in West Africa. And there's like, she's like, COVID isn't even a conversation. Nobody's, people are going to festivals, people are going to weddings, they're not masking, they're not distancing. And the death toll is like 133 throughout the whole thing. And when they do get sick, they take herbs. Like they have access to not just a worldview, and they live communally, very communally, but not just a worldview, but also systems of knowledge and practice built upon that, that have been totally excluded. Like what percent of our pharmaceutical research budget goes toward studying indigenous herbs or even Chinese herbs? Like if even 10% of it or 1% of it went toward that, maybe we'd have no problem at all. But the tunnel vision keeps us locked in a certain pattern. And of course, we could also speak of relationship to nature, how to take care of the earth, how to take care of the land. So this is a moment when I think that our civilization, and I'm even wanting to be careful to say our, like who is included in our. I would say anybody. So for one thing, nobody is fully actually in this civilization, and almost nobody's fully outside of it. On some level, even the most successful, privileged person, there's going to be part of them that is a rebel, that protests the status quo, because they recognize, like all of us do, that it's not supposed to be this way, and that the world could be so much more beautiful. And that part could be placated, bribed, extorted, suppressed, and then comes out in distorted and often very violent ways. This when protest, and this is true politically too, when protest is or dissent is suppressed, then and when important stories are not told and not heard. I mean, this is what happens with Black Lives Matter. Decades and centuries of stories have not entered into the collective mind. So of course, this energy becomes explosive. And then, at least on the right, then it's blamed, as cause when it's actually a symptom. So anyway, I'm just trying to illustrate a more general principle, which is that we need to, it's not out of fairness or justice even, but it's out of, in a way, desperation. It's out of a crying necessity to access knowledge or knowledges that are necessary today for the for us to transition to the world.
And that's kind of, there's something a bit, I'm not even sure if I was supposed to, anyway, I'm just going with it.
There's something a little bit patronizing about, yeah, we're going to include you too in our world. What I would prefer to see is wow, we're kind of stuck in our world. What can you tell us about how to live? What can you tell us about how to be human and about how to take care of each other and the earth that we may have forgotten? So it's an actual valuing of that knowledge, not because we feel guilty and want to evade criticism and assuage our conscience, but because out of love, because out of care for what is precious. And just as a principle, like a meta principle, don't we all know that the metamorphosis that we are facing requires every strand of the human story to be woven together? Every initiation that has been passed by humans on Earth. Orland Bishop, he's just an amazing teacher and peace worker in Los Angeles. His book is called The Seventh Shrine. He's originally from Guyana, of West African descent, but now lives in LA. And he speaks of the initiation of the African diaspora through the Middle Passage, which has given those people he says it's not even a gift of culture primarily, but it is a gift of the soul that is now becoming available for the collective of all humanity. And probably everybody has, well, some of us to more extent than others, but has had the personal experience of going through a life initiation and receiving gifts from that initiation that are then meant that not only to bring you more into life, really that's what an initiation is, it makes you more alive, but also can bring more life to the world. So this is when I speak of, okay, how do we get to the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible? It's not about, a roadmap. I don't have the answers. And if I did have the answers, I would ask that you would be a little bit wary of, I don't want to racialize it, but let's just say like another smart white guy coming to you with, here's the plan. Like, where is that plan coming from? What hidden biases does it encode? What values of the old dominant system does it carry? And really, perhaps what we need to do as a collective is to step deeper into the unknowing, so that it's not that we don't ever take action or never make a plan, but maybe as a collective, like politically, on the political level, where nothing proposed except on the very fringes, comes anywhere close to what is needed today. I don't see, Democrats or Republicans, for example, advocating prison abolition, advocating a reconception of what justice is. Like, what does justice even look like when it's not about punishment? Punishment is part of the old story, the story of separation, the story of domination, the story of control, imposing force onto the world. So basically, it's not a set of answers coming from me, but it's more of an invitation into where that knowledge could come from. And really to receive that knowledge requires humility. Humility, where does that come from? This is, not like one of the technologies of separation is to leverage people's self-rejection, to speak to their insecurity, to scare or guilt or shame them into doing the right thing. So this is not about, it's not about that, but it's about, hold on, I just lost my train of thought here.
To receive that knowledge requires humility.
Humility, and where does humility come from? Yes, humility comes from humiliation. Duh, from humiliation. Humiliation, what's that? Humiliation is the breakdown of a false self-image, which is actually a beautiful process and that gives rise to shame. Shame, if you've felt shame, you notice it turns your face red, it causes a burning. That's the psychic bonds of a false self-image breaking down. And when that's held by a loving community, such as you are trying to build, like what if you conceived of community as a group of people who are not afraid to feel shame because they know that they are fully loved and accepted? And what if we could extend that to our entire culture in America, where people could say, yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, I was blind to that. Yeah, I didn't understand how my my privileged position was harming others? Like, what if we had that amount of, like, so a community such as you are creating can be practice for holding others in that regard, which is, I think, indispensable for healing. So yeah, humiliation, the breakdown. So collectively here on a civilizational level, that is happening. The breakdown of, we've got all breakdown of that cultural mythos of, we've got all the answers, we know how to do this, onward and upward, triumph, onward to space, dominating nature to in service of human well-being, and opening to other ways of understanding our relationship to all that is. So this goes to the health realm too. Like, does health come from an increasingly efficient and total control of human beings, of nature? And I'm not going to go into body ecology and the health-giving effects of community and all that kind of stuff. That would be a whole thing. And I think I'm probably getting close to the 20 or 25 minutes. But I guess I just want to encourage all of us, to the extent, I said hour, I'll go back to that hour, to the extent that you experienced modern schooling, that you grew up in a money economy, that you use technology, you're going to be acculturated to some extent, or part of you will be acculturated to some extent to our civilization. So yeah, I guess I could apply this in various ways to current issues, but maybe I'll leave it at that for now. And Shireen, maybe if you want to, I'm not sure how much of my time I used, but if you want me to follow up on anything, or we can just leave it at that. I think I might have said enough for now.
Thank you, Charles. Deep, deep gratitude for just the poetry and the nuggets of wisdom that you weave. I'm actually going to pass it to Mazen, who's going to help us integrate. And I don't know, Maz, if there's any immediate follow-up questions you want to pose.
First of all, that was fire. So thank you, Charles. I'm like snapping it up over here. I know a lot of us are, you just really hit some things on the head that I know I needed to hear. And that piece about humility coming from humiliation, I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. So thank you so much. And really thank you for your humility. I feel it, and it's refreshing, and it's beautiful, and it's deep. And I can see how it has allowed you to just channel such brilliant, things that I wanted to just point out. I love what you said about diversity and inclusion kind of defaulting to, let's include everyone who's been excluded into this world destroying system, and how that's such an easy thing to default to, and bringing us to that question of, okay, well, then what are we going to invite folks into, right? And how can we answer that question of creating a new system? Also, we need to feed people who don't have food right now, but and then I love how you take it from there. It's like, well, then let's ask those folks, right? Like the next steps to answering that question. What I want to do right now is I want to invite folks to take a moment to just maybe pull out a piece of paper or whatever it is, especially for the introverts, to just have a moment to put together, do you have any questions, or do you have any thoughts or things you want to reflect? And we're gonna have a little dialogue together with Charles. So everyone just take maybe 30 seconds right now, and then we're gonna start to curate a few questions for you, Charles, and yeah, just once again, thank you so much. I think this is a great way for us to have a foundation of ideas of stepping into the unknown together. I think that's really what I'm taking away, is we don't know, we know we need something different. We don't know what it is, and how can we have the humility to step into that? Yeah. Rich, is that a question for Charles? Okay, so we have a couple of questions coming in. So let's have a couple of them coming in. What would be a great superpower? Embrace shame and humiliation.
Yeah, and I have a top of mind question too, Mazen, that I would love, that's very specifically dovetail.
Go for it.
Okay. Charles, what's coming to mind for me, and I actually do inclusion, equity, and belonging work. So I really appreciated just some of the nuance that you were lifting up there. But as we think about expanding what John Powell calls our circle of concern, like really thinking about belonging for all of us, for all humans and for all life, I think I'm curious about what are the mindset shifts or behaviors that we need to be embodying? And I think of myself especially, in my family, my partner's family, there are people with vastly different worldviews on the political spectrum, vastly different behaviors, vastly different perspectives on climate. The idea of creating community where I can really sit at the table in deep, loving, mutual respect is just hard. So I'm curious, as one in some of your writings, you really challenge us to bridge. What are the behaviors, mindsets, ways of being we need to be, from your perspective? And I recognize it's a single perspective. I don't mean to be looking to you as like wise guru on the pedestal, and I also really appreciate you naming that. But from your vantage point, doing a lot of thinking about this, who and how do we need to be to actually embody that kind of love in action that can embrace people who we deeply disagree with or who we feel are hurting others? And now I think you really are muted.
Can you hear us, Charles?
Charles looks like he's trying to figure out some technology.
We're all just in the unknown right now, just sitting in the unknown, letting your question.
Gosh, guys, I can't hear a thing. Somehow all the sound cut out for me.
Okay, you're back.
Maybe let me go grab my phone and switch to my phone.
Oh, you're
you guys
back.
Can hear me, right?
We
Yeah.
can hear you.
I
Can you
can't
hear us?
anything.
If you try
Maybe
unplugging
so.
and plugging your headphones.
Okay, hold on.
We're not speaking right now, so let us know.
Yes.
My computer thinks I can, but I can't. Okay.
Try unplugging your
There's so
headphones.
many great questions on that chat. Oh my God. So let me just grab my phone and log into my phone. Oh, hold on. Zoom detected a problem here. Hold on.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Naz.
I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Sorry,
Charles,
guys.
Did you hear the question that I asked?
No, I didn't. I was like seeing it. I was like, what should I do?
In a nutshell, when we talk about true belonging and creating a world, the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, which for me is one where we all belong, where all life truly belongs and is held as sacred and relished. How do we reconcile humans on our planet deeply entrenched in a different worldview that at least I perceive to be harming life or not down with a shared vision for what's possible for our future?
Yeah. I don't think there's any one answer to that. I saw it like, in the chat, there was one question, what is the alternative to plans? And this is related to what you're asking. It's not that we need an alternative to, well, it's not that plans are bad and we should do something else, or that persuasion is bad to change people's minds, but it's to recognize the limitations of both of those modalities. And more deeply, the limitations of fighting nature. So the alternative is to participate first, which starts with listening to a natural process. Like this is how regenerative agriculture works. This is how holistic health works. This is how restorative justice works. It starts with listening. It starts with asking. Then it leads to participation. So as far as segments of the population that seem to you, because actually to them, you seem really stuck in wrongness and wrong ideas that are perpetuating problems. But it starts with how we see others. Because if we can see that at some level, they want what we want, which is to serve life. How do you know that they are here, actually put here on earth to serve life? Because that's the nature of life. Life is here to serve life. I mean, it gets down to these deep metaphysical issues. So if you are seeing other people as lesser than that, if you are seeing, well, I'm here to serve life, but you're just not actually here for that, then you're not going to ever allow the perception of what exactly to say, how to intervene, what is needed for them to awaken to that purpose. The story that we hold about a person is an invitation for them to live into that story. So if you hold a story of somebody as an irredeemable racist, or as just fundamentally greedy, or as someone who just doesn't get it, like, really? Is that what you're standing for them to be? And I know this is like kind of a meta answer, and but it's that the actual practical responses they become clear. They come from an understanding of that person's nature. And it doesn't mean that it's just an ideology that you can assume. It's that you have to actually see it. But to see it, you have to look for it. And really, you could say that the basic template of all of the injustice in the world today is dehumanization. That's what facilitates slavery. That's what facilitates exploitation. That's what facilitates abuse of women, objectification, right? It's all to make somebody less than human. The exit strategy for that is not to apply dehumanization to the real bad guys and make them less than human. It's to undo that pattern altogether and ask the primal question, what is it like to be you? Not to like let them off the hook. It's in the interest of actually changing things. Because if you don't know what it's like to be them, even if it does come to a fight, and I'm not saying that there's never a time for a fight, it's just that 99% of the time, the fight is a result of dehumanization. Because if you see somebody as irremediably evil, then you have no choice but to defeat them in a fight. And here we have two sides, each seeing the other as irredeemably evil, and thinking that the salvation of the world is going to be when good finally wins over evil, and we're good and they're evil. Even if you are trying to win a fight, you're going to fight a lot better if you actually understand who the other person is, what motivates them, what wounds they've received, what they care about. So really, the formula is compassion.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles. I really love how what you're pointing to makes me think people are responding not just to what we say to them, but how we're seeing them and what we see to be true about them. It's a really great invitation. I have a question for you, which is, we have a lot of people who are very politically engaged or have a lot of energy for political or economic or social engagement. And, what you spoke to kind of paints this like big transition that we're making from not just the current system to the next system, but the way we're trying to change the system and the way we need to be trying to change it. From your kind of like, if you're permaculturing in movements, right? What are some movements or things that are happening right now that from your perspective you see are really heading in the right direction, places that we could be pointing our energy this year, whether it's environmental or kind of approaches like sustainable agriculture, regenerative agriculture, or things like the Green New Deal? Like, what do you see would be great places for us to be, things for us to be supporting right now?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Again, there's so many incredible organizations and movements. The ones that appeal to me the most are the ones that are doing things on the grassroots level. And you name some of the arenas of action. Some of them make sense from a let's save the world point of view, and others do not. Like, for example, to restore indigenous languages. That if you're taking, say, a carbon dioxide global warming view, like that seems like a bit of an indulgence. Like, okay, let's do that after we've saved the world. But actually, because of the kind of things I was talking about before, like those languages hold key knowledge that operates perhaps on a very subtle level, that I think is actually crucial today. So it could be, anyway, but it could be something, so like, yeah, regenerative agriculture, but then it's like once you make it into a label, then you get like big corporations moving into the arena where it becomes about, tagging all the animals and using satellites to monitor their positions and stuff like that. And like basically be suspicious of anything that scales, which is kind of the opposite of what the solution has to scale, right? Maybe it doesn't have to scale. Maybe the whole mentality of scale is part of the problem. And we need to return to the local, the relational, which isn't to say that there's not global problems that need global solutions. But so much gets left out when we set our priorities that way. So yeah, regenerative agriculture, protecting ecosystems, protecting indigenous people, restoring, repairing. I've been thinking about an essay on reparations, in the context of the United States. Like, what would that look like if we conceive of reparations not as punitive damages, but as repair, which is where the word really comes from? How do we just seeing this situation that when the stories come up and you understand what it's like to be part of the Black underclass, at least a little bit, and this is like we can this dogma that you can never really understand what it's like to be someone of another race or another class. That would be true if it were not for the technology of story that can bring you into somebody else's world. And it is true if we never really listen to the other stories. And a lot of our politics today is the result of not listening to the stories that are out there, especially the stories in the United States of African Americans, of the indigenous, and of women, pretty much anybody who's been marginalized. Like, if only we could hear those stories, we would know what to do. So anyway, again, like I can name movements and causes that I respect and see as models, like the Zapatistas, the landless peasants movements, and all these organizations that work with the indigenous, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about here. Like, I would say you already know the answer to this, and it's just maybe to be aware of how the story of separation can creep back in through the back door. And what started as taking care of a particular piece of land and a forest and restoring the relationships with that forest, it ends up as drones planting trees. And anyway, I won't go into all the things that resulted from that, but I don't know, I hope that answer was useful.
It's really helpful. I really appreciate you hearing your perspective on why you value kind of grassroots and how things can kind of remain in integrity before they scale, and how scaling can affect that. And I have another question. This is one I'm pulling from the audience, but I want to add something to it. Someone asked, like, what are some of the things that inspire you and where you get inspiration? And I want to add to that. There's a way I can imagine that on your journey as a smart white guy, you've had a lot of lessons and learning and things that have helped you to relate to the world and to these different movements and communities in a certain way. And yeah, what are some things that inspire you? And also, what are some of the practices or the things that you do to kind of keep you level-headed, to keep you humble, to keep you grounded? I mean, it's so easy when you have so many people who think you're brilliant, because you are, how do you stay, or what lessons have you learned, maybe from the challenges and the hard times, or from the better times? But I'm very curious. What are some of your practices or lessons?
Yeah.
Tough question.
The people who inspire me and so to speak, keep me honest to the extent that I am honest, have come into my life as almost direct interventions. It's not out of any personal capacity that I can stay sane. But it's, you know, who I'm thinking of now is, see, the people that I'm speaking of are humble people. They're people who, they don't have a following on YouTube. They are not, they are like, you know, a grandmother. Like, for example, when I lived in Taiwan, we had this babysitter. We had a very difficult child, and she was helping us, you know, take care of him several hours a day. And she was just like totally uneducated. She didn't even know like where rain came from. You know, it was like science was a total mystery to her. She was barely literate. And maybe she would be considered mentally impaired, but she was like, her heart, her sincerity, just the amount of love that that woman carried, it still is working on me. If there is such a thing as a great soul, a Mahatma, it's to be found in those people who are enacting love all the time and not even getting applauded for it, not getting thanked, not getting recognized. And in fact, you know, they're like a daycare worker taking care of little babies and pouring out her love at maybe barely minimum wage. And baby after baby comes through the pipeline, and they don't even remember her when they grow up, but they received a little extra love and turned into a better person because of that. Like, those are the people who do it without celebration, that give me the feeling that I'm in the presence of a superior being. And yeah, I know that there's no such thing as a superior being, but you know the feeling I'm talking about, the feeling of reverence. So those are the people who I draw inspiration from. Their intersection with my life has it plants a seed. And I guess if I wanted to make it into a practice, I would simply say to everybody listening to bring to mind somebody like that who has intersected your life. They're the ones who are holding this world together so that we can do the political stuff, the collective stuff, so that we can be speakers and writers and musicians and reach millions or thousands or hundreds or something. Like, they're, on some level, we wouldn't even have a world to live in if they hadn't been doing this silent work since time immemorial. They're my inspiration, and on a different level of causality than the one that we've inherited from Isaac Newton. They are the most powerful people in the world. And this is why I hesitate to say the dominant culture. It looks dominant from the perspective of the dominant culture, but is it really dominant? How does the world really work? How does change really happen? We look powerful, but are we actually powerful? Have we made ourselves happy? No. If you want to find a happy person, you pretty much have to go to, you know, Peru or Gambia or, you know, a remote village in Bangladesh, where people, even if they're in deep poverty, there's a joy there that comes from what you were talking about before, belonging. Like, that is the treasure that we have surrendered through a worldview that actually extracts the human being from the web of relationships that we belong in. So yeah, from that perspective, these are the role models.
Thank you so much. I can feel the connection too between who you're receiving wisdom from, like on a personal level, and how you're inviting us to hold, you know, communities and movements, and maybe the uncelebrated, you know, movements as well, like on a larger level. So thank you. And that's really nourishing for me. And as we close out, you know, we're all continuing on unexpectedly into this digital era of being online, and that's how community is. And a lot of the platforms we're on, they don't celebrate those nannies and those daycare workers. They don't celebrate those voices and those movements that are not centered. They're continuing to put and to sell our attention to these, you know, mainstream business as usual perspectives. So I guess just then in a wrapping question, how might we engage digitally? How might we like attune our media diet so that we can surround ourselves and nourish our minds, you know, with these voices and these perspectives more? I mean, is there anything you do to how have you been handling, you know, in this digital
Yeah,
life?
the best way I found is to unplug a bit from digital media. And that leads to, you know, when more and more human interaction is mediated by technology as a matter of, you know, government mandate, like, I don't think that life can translate into numbers. I mean, this is, again, part of the deep ideology of civilization, that everything that exists can be quantified. One aspect is market economics, you know, the conversion of life into money. It's also the conversion of life into data. It's the conversion of human interaction into what can be converted to bits and then transmitted through the internet. So I think that ultimately, you know, at the beginning, Shireen mentioned, she quoted some things from the coronation, and one of them was, what of the old normal do we want to bring back? And what are we pretty much done with? And for me, one thing that I want back is live gatherings, singing together, dancing together, group hugs. And because the loss of those things is actually good for business, at least good for the very, very tiny economic elite who have become incredibly wealthy during the last year. Because of that, it's not going to go back to normal all by itself. We, the people, are going to have to assert the value of that. And, you know, this gets into the whole, what values compete with that, and it gets into, you know, ultimately risk minimization and safety, and is that the highest value?
Right.
Is there more to life than just making it to your deathbed? So this is another bigger conversation, but I would just say, please don't surrender the tactile, sensory, in-person, place-based aspect of community. Hold that sacred. And I'm not saying, you know, totally abandon every, you know, I won't say that here, but, you know, every, you know, every public health policy mandate, but I'm saying hold it sacred, because it will not be given back to you automatically. Yeah.
Oh, that is juicy. And I know we're gonna be putting that into our creative engines and figuring out how can we assert the sacredness of those things and have those considerations in mind. Thank you so much, Charles. We are just buzzing. The chat is buzzing. You know, you've given us such a gift. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass it now to Shireen to close us out, and then we're going to go into our closing songs. But you're amazing, man. Thank you.
Well, thank you for such a gracious welcome, and for your hospitality. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Deep, deep, humble bow to you, Charles. Yes, indeed. And to Rey Zaragoza as well, for the incredible medicine, for the depth, for the heart, for the authenticity, for the wisdom that has come through today. And thank you all for your incredible participation, presence, questions, engagement. Stand for a more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible, that is emerging in our collective effort to co-create it. So may this year be filled with connection. May we find our way back to hugs and dancing and music together. May we find our way closer to ourselves and to all life. So we're going to close today as we opened in song, but for folks who are newer to Thrive, I also just want to welcome you and to encourage you to continue being a part of this community. We have events pretty much on a weekly basis that are about tending to the soul and tending to the community and each other. Upcoming, we have a Medicine for These Times series. We have the Spiral of Resilience, Visioning a More Beautiful Future. This is connected to the work of Joanna Macy. And of course, we have these gatherings the first Sunday of every month. So really encourage you all to be here, spread the word. We need each other more than ever in these times. There are more announcements in the chat. Feel free to stay connected with Charles and Ray and us through accompanying links. And again, deepest gratitude to everyone for your stand for life. With that, I am going to pass the mic for our final song to two incredible soul brothers with again, amazing medicine who are together and in the same pod so they can harmonize. Please give your love, heart, and attention to Kyle Lemley and Jesse Sachs.
Hey family.
Hello.
Good to see you all. Thank you so much, everyone, for your amazing words, music. We're so honored to close the little program here. We're both from the Thrive Choir. We just potted up this week conveniently, so we're harmonizing for the first time in months.
Hallelujah.
In person, which feels amazing. We wish that all 13 singers were here singing with us, but we're making the most of the pandemic time. We're going to be singing an incredible song written by our sister, Paige Sargent, who's also on the call. Paige, we wish you could harmonize with us through the Zoom worlds. And it's called The Vision, and we'll put the link to the song in the chat at the end. You want to say something?
I want to give a shout out to Kathleen. Happy birthday. I love you.
All right, here it goes. It might be slow. Sometimes that's the way it goes. It might be slow for a while. And so it goes. The cold and the smoke, all the embers will burn in time. You gotta trust the vision. You gotta trust the vision. I said you gotta trust the vision. You gotta trust the vision. Your body knows all the ways that spirit flows. Your body knows how to be with God. And your body holds all that you wanna let go of. All that you wanna let go of. All that you wanna let go of. And you gotta trust the vision. 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 It might be slow. Sometimes that's the way it goes. It might be slow for a while. It might be slow for a while. It might be slow for a while. All the embers will burn in time. It might be slow for a while. All the embers will burn in time. 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 All the embers will burn in time.
All right, y'all, let's just kind of mute together.
Yes.
Harmony.
Hey.
Beautiful.
Wow. Thank y'all so much. May this year be one filled with vision. Yes, let's call it forth together. Deep, deep gratitude to everybody. Please feel free to come off mute, say farewell to each other, see each other's faces. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you,
Everybody
everyone.
did a great job. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Charles. Oh,
Bye,
big Charles.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see everyone.
Julie.
Yeah, really nice.
Love y'all.
Love, love, love.
Guys, beloved community.
That's sunshine.
Yay. I know I'm a loudmouth, huh? Whatever.
Very nice.
I want everyone to know Paige Sargent's the link to her original video of her singing that song in 3 parts of her own beautiful voice is linked now in the chat. So please check that out. It's an Instagram link and support her beautiful artistry. Thank you.
Yes, and I can't wait for y'all to teach that to the whole choir, please. Come on now.
Oh, that's an awesome song.
Beautiful.
Thank you all so much.
Very nice.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice.
Thank you.
You.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.